He said.
Okay.
Reaction?
He looks
And when she would
arrogant,
do that on average once
combative,
every 2 months,
also
give me
evasive,
example types of
and
contributions she'd make. Like how much money?
also
I don't know. I don't know.
irritated.
I never saw the bills.
And it
stuff
looks like a
that.
false
What she paid
irritation for what appears
I
to
don't
be
think
very
that's relevant
simple,
here, sir.
straightforward
What kind of things did you
questions.
purchase?
I'm not going to answer this any further with that.
You won't tell me?
No.
Do you know?
I have no idea.
Very
You have no
arrogant,
idea.
very combative,
How would
very
you know she was
evasive
purchasing
to
things?
the
You have no idea
most
what they are.
simple of questions that are
When you
being
see someone
posed to
bring
him.
bags in from a local grocery store, you know they purchased them. Wouldn't that say that they're the ones that purchased it?
Okay, that's helpful. Now, so in other words, about once every 2 months,
His
she would bring
expression
in some
and his
groceries.
whole attitude seems to
Is
be
that right?
condescending to the lawyer asking the questions also.
All right. What else?
He seems angry. What do you make of
What
that?
else? Do you know she had a checking account?
There's no
As far as I
reason
know, she
for
did.
him to be
Now, when you say as far as
angry,
that,
and
did you
I'm
ever-
trying
other than
to
assuming she did, you ever see her have a
fathom
checking account,
what
have
in the
reason,
world would
specific
make him
knowledge
so
around the checking
angry at
I know
this
she had a checking account
deposition
as far as how long
when
she had
all
one
the
on the
attorney is trying to
So
do is
within that last year,
establish
you don't know
that
if she had
his
no idea.
client was not
How about the
the
credit card?
Zanny
You know,
the
she-
nanny
I have no
that
idea.
was turned over to, or that Casey said she turned Kaylee over
During
to.
that year, did you give her money for
It
gas
seems
or
false.
expenses?
Probably
A
could
false
have, probably
sense
did.
of aggravation.
On
here.
average, how often would you give her money to sustain herself?
I have no idea, sir. It could be, again, it could be once a week, it could be once a month. I don't really recall.
And how about her clothing? Did y'all help her buy clothing during that year before?
No, sir, I never did.
How about, do you know if your wife did?
You have to ask her.
Do you know? One
Now,
way or
see,
the other?
that's
ask my
just
wife.
evasive.
question
He
is, do
will
you know
know
one
whether
way
or
or
not
another
his
she did?
wife
No, I
has
don't know.
has bought clothes for her. He's just being about as uncooperative as he can possibly be in this deposition.
Okay, now,
And he's using
The,
every range of emotion from
when is the first
anger
time you heard of
to arrogance
Zenaida Gonzalez?
to
Heard the
being
I never heard that name
condescending
until July.
in
2000.
order to seize control of this deposition.
okay.
That's good.
That's correct.
Well, we've seen this type
was
of
there-
behavior before, but this type of
There was some
behavior
talk
that we've
in
seen
some
before is
interviews about,
with
and I would say interviews, I mean police interviews.
Casey when
that
she's talking
Casey
to
had
her
been telling
her
Amy
mother in
Nzinga
jail. They're
that,
very similar type of
you and
conduct.
Mr. Anthony were splitting up and moving out, moving to Mount Dora, moving out of the house, and that Casey would be moving into the house.
First of all, you see Cindy's behavior here during this deposition, and what do you make of that?
Well, she appears to be angry, combative, attempting to control the deposition, and defensive, evasive. All the characteristics that you don't want your witness to exhibit if you're
Go ahead.
when you put a witness on the witness stand or have them interviewed. Those are all the characteristics that you don't want exhibited.
It seems that there's a little bit of a similarity between Casey and Cindy. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's the old adage, the fruit has not fallen far from the tree. And we see that kind of behavior exhibited by Casey at the jailhouse interview with her mother. Well, obviously that's where she acquired that behavior from, because her mother behaves exactly in the same fashion.
And how does that, how does Cindy's behavior, I guess as well as Casey's behavior, well, forget about Casey at this point, how does Cindy's behavior during this deposition and that similar defiant behavior affect Casey's murder case if Cindy's called as a witness? How does it affect?
Well, one, at this juncture, it certainly affects the court of public opinion, and you're starting not to view Cindy as such a sympathetic character, and likewise viewing Casey as not a sympathetic character. Now, at trial, what will happen is that when Cindy testifies, if she testifies in this manner, it's going to hurt her credibility. The jury's not going to like her. They're going to visit that on Casey.
Let's go back on that. So if they don't like Cindy, how does that affect Casey's case?
If a juror doesn't like a witness, it affects how the jury accepts their credibility. If they don't accept her as a credible witness, then that will damage Casey's defense.
Tell me how. Be more specific.
Well, a juror is...
how will it damage Casey's defense? If they are her big supporters and they're going to try to, I guess, bolster her story, how does it hurt? Nitty gritty, how does it hurt Casey's defense?
It hurts her defense because it then becomes transparent that the witness is attempting to support a defense that perhaps is without credibility or one doesn't believe. And you're doing that through histrionics instead of just testifying factually and answering questions in a straightforward manner. There is, by the way, a jury instruction that says, as a juror, you take into account the way the witness answered questions. Was the witness straightforward in answering the questions? Did the witness appear to have some bias or motive to testify in the fashion of which they did? So that will come back to hurt Casey if, in fact, the jury listens to that jury instruction and the mother and father have behaved in front of that jury the way they have behaved in front of this attorney at this deposition.
And getting more specific, though, I'm looking for a sort of an easy statement about this.